Hello and welcome to Raising Minds. We are an education-focused podcast and training initiative dedicated to supporting parents, coaches, and educators in helping students and families to thrive academically, socially, and emotionally. So, welcome to my newly renamed channel, Raising Minds podcast. I'm so excited. The podcast is up and aired, and Dr. Sue and I just recorded a few more episodes just yesterday in video format. So we're super excited to get those out to you soon. To talk a little bit more about Raising Minds, we partner with schools and districts to provide meaningful, practical support through parent education workshops. We do educator professional development and student support workshops. I'm a positive discipline facilitator, so we do positive discipline trainings. If you know positive discipline, it can be anything from a 6-week course to a really, really fun 90-minute interactive workshop. So for parents and educators. And we do consulting work. So I'm an accreditation consultant. I help schools really just to become the best school they can be. Most private schools are accredited every 10 years, and I support schools in that. And we collaborate with this new podcast. So we're so excited to bring not only Dr. Sue and I together, she has an amazing breadth of knowledge and just experience, and she's really fun and funny, so you're obviously going to love her. But really, as we can, support, parents and teachers together in doing this. So really partnering with the podcast too, and we're going to be having experts. That's what my point was. So we're going to be having expert guests, like 45 to an hour-minute guests, and I just booked our first one, so I'm super excited about that. But really, what we do is take a unique and collaborative, customized approach to design a program that works for your school. So we're talking with schools now for next year to really, and some schools are having us in to do like the end of the year kind of going away thing. And most schools that I've worked at that have been very successful have had a focus every year. There's like a theme. So we hope to work with some schools to provide these really powerful tools. So I wanted to take this video an opportunity to kind of walk you through my brain and the things that I've been studying and what I bring to Raising Minds and the many years that I've been supporting parents and teachers and myself. So it started off back in the day with Montessori. So as a Montessori educator turned Montessori mom, I learned so many things from this book. So as you can see, so this is the beginning of the parent empowerment program. Starts with this Montessori from the start, really how do you help your child to become more independent? And it really is through the environment. So I love teaching on Montessori, just because not only in Montessori schools, but also to other independent schools that aren't Montessori, but you can learn so much from that amazing philosophy. But really just, she studied the human being and she developed a teaching philosophy that followed human growth and development and what was needed for child development. So I know I've talked about Dr. Montessori on this channel before, but huge fan. And as my learning continued, as I became a mom, I really started to delve into the Waldorf philosophy, and I love Kim John Payne. I love Kim John Payne's work in Simplicity Parenting. So I struggled with this because I'm like an organized hoarder, as some of my friends have called me. And I still, you know what, I need to go back to this and really focus on it. But I love his philosophy and understanding too, when my babies were little, how important the first 7 years of their life is and how you really can prepare the environment. And the environment isn't just the physical environment, it is the emotional environment. It is your energy really affects your child's energy. So having a rhythm and a routine. So he really helped me. And I was lucky to see him speak live, and I never was able to do exactly what he talked about, but it was good to learn that Waldorf, and we went to a beautiful, beautiful Waldorf nursery when they were babies. So I love, love, love that philosophy. And then as we went on, my kids went to this other amazing school. And I remember this was the book that the head of school recommended I read. And I'm so glad she did. So this is The Blessing of a Skinned Knee. I don't know why I'm getting emotional, but The Blessing of a Skinned Knee by Dr. Wendy Mogul. This is a genius book. You know what? I think I'm getting emotional because I have to reread this one. Whew. This is a very good book. So she is a psychologist turned rabbi, or maybe rabbi turned psychologist. So anyway, she was, I think she was a psychologist turned rabbi. So I'll have to reread that because I did read this a long time ago. And this is a great book. I don't know why I can't talk about it more. Because you got to read that one. So as I had my children and was still now consulting with schools to create this Montessori home, like Montessori in the home, how do you have this prepared home environment? Because that's what I was trying to do with my kids. And so I really, really love working with that idea and then with that simplicity parenting. But then there came a point where I was like, I need some more tools. Like, this is really challenging. I am so blessed to have had the resources of having my kids at that Waldorf school, because there's just it was really helpful when you're like a young mom, or when your kids are young. I wasn't that young of a mom. When your kids are young, it's very stressful. And I think too, like, it was just, you're new. Like, I was new at that job, so I didn't know what I was doing. And so you don't have a lot of confidence, even though I was a trained Montessori educator and I thought, oh, I'm going to be really good at this job of parenting. My eldest daughter decided to be very strong-willed, or maybe God decided to give me a very strong-willed firstborn. I think a lot of them are, right? A lot of the firstborns are strong-willed. So to teach me more tools. And I realized, I said, I need more tools. Like, this is really hard. And luckily, the school that I was consulting at, the head of school was like, have you ever heard of positive discipline? And I said, oh yeah, I saw Jane Nelson speak. And I think I have a positive discipline book for preschoolers. So I brushed that off. I read those two books, or I think I just read one, Positive Discipline for Preschoolers. And I really loved it. And a wise woman once told me, when I was pregnant with my first, she's like, you know what, Kristen, there's so much out there. And this was 17 years ago. She's telling me this advice. There's so much out there, and now there's even more, right? So much out there. If you like really read something and you resonate with it, just like go with that. Just go with that philosophy, and like, don't worry about it. Don't keep reading. Like, don't just go with it. Just enjoy yourself. And I really appreciate that advice. So I kind of took that with positive discipline. I was like, okay, I get it. It really resonated with my Montessori philosophy. And quickly was like fascinated with the work of Alfred Adler and Rudolf Dreikurs, brilliant, brilliant psychologists who also worked at the same time as Dr. Maria Montessori. So they were really discovering the same things tandemly. And that is really this is a fascinating read. It's a great read, Children the Challenge. So this was Rudolf Dreikurs' work. And Rudolf Dreikurs was a student of Alfred Adler. So you might have heard of the great Alfred Adler. I just read this book. This is awesome. So Alfred Adler was one of those three giants. I don't know why I'm doing the three giants of modern psychology. So we had Sigmund Freud, Carl Jung, and Alfred Adler. This is The Courage to be Disliked, but it's a great read to learn a little bit more about Adlerian psychology. So Adlerian psychology is individual psychology, and I think that's why he was shunned by Freud. And unfortunately, Jung studied under Freud for a little too long, but he's good too. I like Carl Jung, not Freud. But Adler, genius, such a genius. He, I'll tell you more about him. But what he didn't do was he didn't write about his work. Adler worked. He went out, he was doing workshops, he was teaching teachers, he was teaching parents, he was doing big talks, he was getting out into the communities. That's really amazing. So he was really like boots on the ground, trying to teach this philosophy of individual psychology to parents, to teachers, how to communicate to your children. They're going through developmental stages. What are those developmental stages? Why isn't my child, like, what's with their brain development? Why aren't they getting let's go. Why aren't they getting with the picture? And he really explained to parents through experiential lessons, what are they thinking? What are they feeling? And what are they deciding? What do our children need? How do we need to be? And I am so grateful and thankful for my positive discipline training and for that advice to get trained in positive discipline. But it really just gave me more tools. So as a parent, it gave me more tools in my tool belt. So first I was taking it to just learn these tools. But then as an educator and a facilitator, oh my God, so many teachers and parents need these valuable tools. And that's what they are, and that's what we're here to give you. So we're super excited to share more of these tools. And but no, the journey continues. So we are positive discipline. It really helpful. So the other thing with positive discipline is I love, and I was just working with a client earlier today, I love working with families so both parents can get on the same page, create a united front, get on the same team, speaking the same language. And that's actually what Dr. Sue and I were talking in our podcast yesterday about, is when whole communities can start speaking the same language, when the school is, encouraging our kids, when the parents are using words of encouragement, when the coaches are, when the custodians, the bus drivers, when children really have this environment around them, it can be really, really helpful. So then this woman is just a genius. Lynn Lott. So Lynn Lott and Jane Nelson were the co-founders of Positive Discipline. And I really love what both of them bring. Jane has her doctorate in educational something or other. And do I even have a Positive Discipline book? Well, yeah, Jane. And Lynn Lott is a marriage and family therapist. So she brings, that therapy aspect, and what Jane said is when she went to get her doctorate, one of her classes had said, we are going to be studying one philosophy. the whole semester, we are going to be studying one psychology, and it was the psychology of Alfred Adler. So that's how, positive discipline was founded, as she really studied Adler. And a lot of people do. There's a lot of Adlerian coaches and psychologists out there. So what Lynn did is she used positive discipline and Adlerian psychology, and she said she created a really great course that I also am certified in as an encouragement consultant, and that's just using positive discipline on yourself so you can be that leader, so you can be that role model, so you can reparent that inner child that comes out when we are exhausted and probably overworked and overwhelmed and feeling all the feelings, and you're just having one of those days, and your kids are fighting and the dinner's not made and everybody's asking things, and you are spent and you are just whew. And when you just can't control your emotions anymore, like you flip your lid, like you just whew, you're triggered, and our brain goes into that mode. And I loved learning about the brain, and I know I've done a lot of videos on this, so I'm sure you can look in the feed for the brain in the palm of your hand. But Dr. Dan Siegel, he's another genius. But really, he helps you to understand that our brain, when we're in that freeze, fight, flight mode, we're in that primal state, we're in that reptilian brain, we are not going to be able to connect with our kids. We are going to probably yell and maybe even revert back to childhood or something, maybe say something that your parent said to you that you're like, oh, you vowed never to say that. So we sometimes get triggered and our brain flips. And what I love working with parents and teachers is, how do we regulate our emotions? How are our children going to learn how to regulate our emotions? How do we get from this flipped lid to a more powerful state where we're using our prefrontal cortex and we are able to connect? And I really, really love the work of Dr. Mark Brackett. And we hope to actually have him on our podcast sometimes. You can only dream, right? Dr. Sue, we're trying to get Dr. Mark Brackett in a couple years maybe. But so I love this too, because the school that my children are now at, that is the social emotional learning program that some of the teachers are trained in. And it's really this, really understanding your feelings and understanding that our feelings are telling us certain things, and how do you express your feelings? How do you not repress your feelings? How do you communicate? And also, he really helps you to become more emotionally intelligent. And it's a great book, good program. There's a lot of great ideas. And what I'm learning though with schools, and as we work with more schools, it's not like a one size fits all though with this social emotional learning. Even with positive discipline, I would love to go and have every school be a positive discipline school. But there's there's the ruler approach, and there's all these different programs, responsive classroom, and I don't know, there's other things. So anyway, it's just a lot learning more about where our children are developmentally, how those feelings are really telling us something. It is our emotional guidance system. It's our nervous system talking to us. So it is important to listen to those feelings. And as a parent, as an educator, you can actually learn to use those feelings to become a detective to your child's behavior. I know that's for another video because I don't want to get into that. But as a positive discipline facilitator, I help parents and teachers to become that detective of their child's misbehavior, really using this mistaken goal chart, and it's genius. So if you need it, let me know. Comment down below, mistaken goal chart, and I can make sure to forward you one. I wanted to show it to you, but you're not even going to see this because it's like, opposite. Oh, here we are. So with the mistaken goal chart, this took me like years to figure out how to use this though. So I was totally overwhelmed as a young positive discipline facilitator back in the day, 14 years ago when I was first learning this, 14 years ago. And I'm still learning every day. Every day is a new day. You're never done learning. My children are teaching me that the hard way, that they, now that I have teenagers, you're still never done. And then I love working with Dr. Sue because she says, she has adult children now, but she's still not done. And my parents will tell you that they're not done yet either, because you'll always like stay worried about your kids. But this is brilliant, and I really help parents to do that. I always offer a free 30-minute like strategic mistaken goal breakthrough call with parents, and we could figure it out really quickly what your child's mistaken goal is and what you can do. I can give you a few free tools to use right away. So let me know too. I'll make sure to post that below too, is how to get on my calendar so I can help you through that. But I'm going to keep going because this is a long video, and I hear that's, now that we too are also going to be making YouTube videos, I'm going to figure out how to do this and make this more fun for you. But right now, I'm just going to go through all the books and tell you a little bit more about my journey. And because then I had siblings, and then I had more kids, and you have more kids, and you're like, what do I do? And I just kept learning. I do not recommend for parents to do this. Do not read all these books that I read. This is my job. I chose to do this. And I don't think it's healthy for parents to read all these books, but I read them all, so I can help you. But this is, again, genius. Like when my, this beautiful school that my children went to, the children's school, they follow the language philosophy of Dr. Haim Ganu, and Dr. Haim Ganu is brilliant in emotional, empathic communication. So Siblings Without Rivalry is based on his work, Dr. Haim Ganu, and How to Talk So Kids Will Listen and Listen So Kids Will Talk. This is Adele Faber and Elaine Maslish. And I actually am going to be getting that book. I mean, they've been around for a while, but the How to Talk So Teenagers Will Listen and Listen So Teenagers Will Talk. And I'm sure it'll be great. I'll tell you all about it. But these women follow the work of Dr. Haim Ganu, and I really, really love that philosophy as well. But you just keep learning. And as Alfred Adler, as he's teaching me, and he's teaching me through, and it was this latest that I read, and I'm going to be doing a deep dive into this and his sequel, The Courage to Be Happy. I am going to do a deep dive into this because it is an ongoing process of learning. You can never learn too much, but the more you know, right? So this guy, Stephen Covey, he was following Adler's work. I am learning, all these people were following Adler's work. I loved it. I love all the latest work on mindset. Dr. Carol Dweck. just another genius. And I think I need to reread this book too, because I read it a while ago when I was trying to learn about mindset, because I was becoming this like mindset coach. And I was like, what am I even doing? What is this mindset thing? What am I doing? So I learned about mindset and how important it is to have this mindset, but it really just all depends on what those, early thoughts and beliefs and learning about your early childhood. And that's and how it really does teach you a lot about it. So that's why I like teaching not young parents, but parents where the kids are still younger, and you can really learn all these tools so you can help the kids, so you don't have that sibling rivalry, that siblings without rivalry. And then also just learn that our kids they're so different from each other. And I know because I have 3 and they're, two girls and a boy, different sexes and different kids, and we were different parents when we, raised them all. So they're all different. They all have these unique temperaments and personalities. So I love going deep with parents in my one-on-one coaching to really learn, who we are when we are parenting our kids and what shows up sometimes. And you can just do it yourself. I kind of love that book, how she called it. That was my manual for my training, do-it-yourself therapy. But that's individual psychology, right? We're just becoming, we're continuing to grow. And he really believed in personal growth. And we can just continue to grow, and how to become the leader. So really what we teach, I delve deep in what my philosophy is within positive discipline and raising minds. And Dr. Sue, I will make sure that she can share some things that she brings with this just a whole different wealth of knowledge. But I just love learning from her. But what I love doing is going to schools and helping schools really to understand how to be this positive discipline teacher, parent, however we can be. And we can just support our children, all children. So something that Sue and I are also both passionate about is, those neurodivergent children and how they look different, it's harder to notice some things, and just to really understand that brain. Not only are you understanding different kids and different personalities and yourself and your own personality, but really understanding what works with some kids, and how we need to shift. I think how we need to shift a lot of how our schools are working within our neurodivergent community. But you know what? Your kid's going to be okay. We're all going to be okay. Your kid's going to be okay. I loved a conversation I had earlier today with a parent who, we were just sharing the joys of parenting. I'm saying that sarcastically, the joys of parenting teenage girls. And she said she remembered, I liked this story. She remembered talking to her pediatrician when her daughter was just a baby, like a 2-year-old, and he was giving her some advice. I think she was like, "Oh, this is hard year. It's hard having a 2-year-old. Having a 2-year-old is challenging." I think that's where Rudolph Streicher's book comes in, Children the Challenge, those toddlers, those 2-year-olds. But the doctor really reassured her, and I love this because I think sometimes moms can feel like they're not doing enough, or they're not doing the right thing, or they're gonna mess up their kid, or they're is my kid okay? Like, what's wrong? Like, what am I doing? Why is she having temper tantrums? What's going on? How come she won't get in the car seat when I want her to? How come she won't wear what I want her to wear? And it's like, you're a good mom to be worried. Like, if you weren't worried that your kid was doing something wrong or that you were doing something wrong, you're not. So we're going to worry, And it's not okay to keep worrying, because we also need to learn how to be present to this challenging and beautiful time as children develop into responsible adults. Like, how can we get there? How can we get there? And I always love starting in my workshops and in my coaching. I always have that list of like, what are all the challenges? What's going on right now? And you just get it out. And sometimes it's like good to just look at that list of like, whew, that's a lot, or okay, oh, that's not as bad as it was a couple years ago, or oh, look at that. But there's a lot of challenges, and there are challenges. But then what we want to do as a parent, as an educator, is what is our goal? Like, what do we want to see in that grown adult, in that 25 to 30-year-old human? What are the characteristics and life skills that we want to see? And we'll brainstorm that list. And it's really this amazing human being that's, responsible, respectful, treats people with dignity and respect, and loving and caring, and maybe they're successful too. And we make this list. And I always love making the list, especially with like a big group of parents. So you make this list and it's like, wow, there's a great long list. Actually, I probably have it right here, but there's always a great long list of all these amazing things: self-discipline, responsibility, accountability, self-confident, courageous, good communication, problem solving, self-motivated, honest, have a good sense of humor, happy, healthy self-esteem, flexible, resilient, curious, respect for self and others, empathy, has empathic, compassion, and belief in personal capability. So like that's our future, being. That's a good list. But usually what I'll ask either the parents and the teachers, it's like, wow, that is a good list. First, how many adults do you really know that has all those amazing things? But we can only hope and dream, right? But really what I ask is, okay, how are our children, how are our students going to learn to be that? And that's the work. That's the hard work. How are our children going to learn to be that? And in our workshops, in our retreats and all the courses that we teach, it is role modeling. It is how do we become that? And so it's a transformation that sometimes it's our kids, as a parent, but that's what Dr. Sue and I are doing too with schools, is sometimes teachers need to be aware of baggage that they might be bringing with them into the classroom. There's a time when you can leave your baggage at the door and take that deep breath, and you could be that one trusted adult that kid really needs. And how do you be that? How do you become that? And obviously we're going to make mistakes, and that's why we continue to teach our workshops, to learn that those mistakes are just opportunities for learning. And but our kids are going to make those mistakes. So when we can listen, we can validate, and my bell is ringing. So again, this is Kristen Anker. I'm your parent empowerment coach, mentor, cheerleader, and we are here at Raising Minds to really help you, to support you to thrive. Okay, bye.